public comment card and give it to the Planning and Zoning Board staff prior to the board discussion and before the public comment section is announced. In no event will anyone be allowed to submit a comment card to speak on an agenda item after the title of that item has been read or considered. All right, let's go ahead and have a moment of silence and pledge of allegiance. And we're going to lead it off with who's going to do it today? Mr. Fernandez.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, can we have a moment of silence? All right, let's go ahead and do roll call.
Ms. Joseph? Mr. Gallen?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Present.
Ms. Shepherd? Here. Mr. Fernandez?
Present.
Vice Chair Guyton?
He's here. He's on his way now.
Chair Wiley? We have a quorum, Chair.
Thank you. Acknowledgement of board members' absentee notification.
Ms. Renee Burgess sent an email today that she will not be in attendance.
Okay. Acknowledgement of any board member vacant positions.
Chair,
Yes.
in her absence, can, for District 1 alternate member, Mr. Brown, can he
Absolutely.
be a voting member?
Absolutely.
Vacancies for the positions, we have District 2, we have a vacancy, and District 4, we have a vacancy. And alternate positions, both of these are vacant alternate positions.
Got it. All right, moving on to number 3, addition and deletion to the agenda. Are there any?
No, none, Chair.
On to number 4, disclosure by board members and disclosure by board members. None? All right, and adoption of the agenda.
So move.
Second. Can I?
Mr. Chair, you need another second.
Yeah.
Joseph seconds. Say that.
Have a second?
Lucy Joseph seconds.
Got it. Here's Mr. Guyton.
Can we have another second? Because Ms. Joseph is the alternate. She does not have voting rights.
Oh, I'll second.
You're second, Mr. Fernandez?
I'll second.
Right. So it has been properly motioned and second. Are we ready for the roll call, Chair?
Yes, just acknowledging Mr. Guyton has just stepped in.
Into the dais? Okay. 6:35, Vice Chair Guyton has sat on the dais. Now we're ready for the roll call. We have Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez,
Present.
Ms. Shepherd. Yes. Vice Chair Guyton,
What are we voting on? I'm sorry.
adoption of the agenda.
Okay, yes.
Chair Wiley,
Yes.
the vote passes unanimous vote.
All
Chair.
right. On to number 5, approval minutes.
So move.
Second.
It has been properly motioned and second. Are we ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd. Yes. Vice Chair Guyton,
Yes.
Chair Wiley,
Yes.
the vote passes unanimous vote.
All right, on to number 6. Do we have any unfinished business?
I have minutes that I need to read into the record, Chair. Form 8B Memorandum of Voting Conflict for county and municipal and other local public officers. We have received this. This document was filled out by Vice Chair Bruce Guyton. Disclosure of local officers' intent. This form was filled out on November 14th, 2024. A measure came or will come before my agency in which incur the special gain or loss of Torella Partners. B, the measure before the agency and the nature of my conflict of interest in the measure is as follows. I was hired by Torella Partners to do community outreach consulting work, worked approximately a couple of years ago. That was signed by Mr. Bruce Guyton on 11/14/2024. Chair.
Thank you.
And so, Mr. Chair, just so that we're clear, that was read into the record to comply with section 112.3143 Florida statutes.
Okay, thank you.
And it has also been made a part of the minutes pursuant to state statute.
Thank you. All right, on to number 7. On to new business.
New business, a resolution for the City Council of the City of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application number SP 24-0024 from JS Family Holdings, Inc., Gerald Properties LLC, and Fish House Properties LLC, applicants for the amendment of an approved site plan for the Viking Sales and Service Center. The subject project is plus minus 3.32 acres, is located between East 16th and East 14th Street to the north and the south, Avenue C to the east, and the North Broadway in the downtown core DC zoning district with a downtown mixed use DMU land use destination, providing for an effective date and for other purposes. The presenter will be Principal Planner Kurt Thompson.
Hey, if I may, Mr. Chairman, for the record, thank you, Ms. Weathers, Kurt Thompson, Principal Planner for the Planning and Zoning Department, and I will make the presentation to you. Pretty much, this is the location, a project location map by the red dot there. It's an estimation of the location. What you have here before you is as Abrella has said to you, the subject site is the subject site, which really is in this area here, and it involves this site more specifically. This portion of the property is plus or minus 2 acres in area. This I would be able to just pretty much summarize this in these next couple of slides. This is if the board will remember, I think one member, Ms. Joseph, wasn't on the board at the time, but everyone else was. As you may recall, Mr. Guy may not have been on the board, but as you all may recall, there was an approval for the boat dealership here at Valhalla. Mr. Fernandez nods his head because he was the chair at the time.
Yes.
And at that time, this was the approval of the project. Okay, approximately 104 or so parking spaces with the boat dealership main building here and a proposed warehouse building with offices on the second floor and a maintenance shop on the first floor. Okay. Now what has happened is this. The applicant is now proposing everything pretty much the same except for here. Now they're not proposing to build building B and use this area as an outdoor display area. If I may, the applicant has their representative here from 2GHO, and he'll be able to give any brief wording to anything that I may miss or fill in the gaps if you excuse my use of the words. So basically, this is a 33% building reduction. Okay, so you have this site along with the parking area, but this area here will be a vacant site used for outdoor storage display area. It's the display. They're both much like in a car dealership. you have cars that, you know, the dealership puts out front to display their best vehicles. Well, the applicant proposes to do the same for this site. This is a rendering along Avenue C. Let me first back up. Okay. This is Avenue C here. This is 16th Street here and 15th Street here, and Broadway is over here. Okay. What this shows is the area here. Okay. And so, and when you look at this, you're looking from east to west, showing this rendering, showing what the area would look like with the landscaping, fencing, and no building, but the site being used for outdoor display of very expensive boats. Okay. Now focus in on that because this is the view. You have Bicentennial Park over this way, and at the southeast of this site. This is the second view, and if you notice, the landscape treatment plus a railing, and if you look closely right in here, there is a boat that's for your purposes to take a look at. The idea is to show how well this boat will be screened from the Bicentennial Park or from the Avenue C area. Okay, and if I may say, the building here will screen this slot here from the Broadway area. The only way you would be able to see that is that you walk around over to this point here and actually see the site. Okay, so from a purposes of screening, it's going to be well screened. This is a major primary arterial. This lot is not on that arterial. It is adjacent to a secondary street, which is 15th Street and 16th Street. In addition, they're going to be building a 6-foot high wall here. There's a residence here, so there'll be a wall here, 6 foot high, with landscaping to screen the residential use here from the subject site. Okay. So this is the best view to show how well this area is going to be screened. So in that regard, let me go on to say that the Viking Sales and Service request, a site plan amendment initially approved by the City Council on July 19, 2023, and you all approved this back around May or June, I believe, of 2023. It was via resolution 104-23. The primary scope of the amendment is for the removal of the approved warehouse, Building B, from the approved site plan, along with other minor modifications that are necessary due to Building B's removal. We want you to note that the above mentioned ownership entities are all under the Viking Yacht Companies. The existing conditions, the area is under construction. I'm sure some of you may have seen it as you drive by Broadway, either heading south out of the town or coming in. You'll see it on the east side of Broadway. Okay. Parcel ID, Umbrella has told you about the lot size. The zoning is downtown core, and the future land use is downtown mixed use. The applicant has, in terms of this, it is the staff's professional opinion that all 6 of these standards of the this is the site plan criteria have been met by the applicant. What you're doing here is strictly a site plan amendment that's been requested and you're acting on. You're not acting on anything else, and you're only acting on the fact that the applicant now will not build that warehouse building in the back. Okay. Staff now requests that the board considers this application, the staff's recommendation of approval, and that you look at recommending to the City Council approval of this site plan amendment. And that is staff's presentation. The applicant's representative is here. I'll let Dan, he's from 2GHO, he'll fill in any of the other additional information for you, and hopefully we can move forward from there.
Good evening. Dan Seamson with 2GHO. We are the landscape architect and land planners for the applicant, Viking Yachts Sales, Valhalla Sales. I also have with me from Viking Yachts, Jeff Staub, as their representative for any questions that you might have. Thank you for your time, board members. I have a brief presentation as well. It very much mirrors Mr. Thompson's, but we'll go ahead and go through that. As Kurt mentioned, the facility that was approved just last year is under construction. This is the view from Broadway that you all saw in the previous approval. Nothing is changing here. The original approval had display, a showroom display on Broadway. And this request is going to essentially put additional display on Avenue C. Due to the size of the vessels and some of the operational analysis that the client has done, the applicant has done, there's no longer a need for the warehouse building. So as mentioned, the request is a site plan modification to remove the previously approved warehouse building, Building B, as well as make some other miscellaneous changes to the site, which I'll show you in a minute, dictated by the current operational needs. Also includes exterior signage. It's got the Valhalla boat sale sign, as well as some of their other products that they sell, some other lines that they sell. And as Kurt mentioned, this is a significant reduction in intensity. So we're talking about a reduction in traffic coming in from deliveries of some of those products that would be housed in the warehouse. So the original approval was for 44,893 and change square footage, and it's going to be reduced down to 30,000 square foot. As mentioned, the approval history was site plan was originally approved in July of 23 with resolutions 104-23 and 105-23. That was the plat. Location of the site, and as you all might know, the active construction site going on right now. Located on Broadway, on the east side of Broadway, between Avenue C and Broadway. 16th Street is at the north end and 14th at the south. The proposed site plan, as you see here, you see the facility along Broadway there. It's got a showroom on the front with offices and sales offices in the middle, and then there's a service area in the back, really mainly for outfitting for additional components after the purchase is made. What you see in the back there along Avenue C, you see the boats, the display boats there in the back to mimic what's out in the front. So removal of Building B now will be for boat sales only. That's all that will be staged there. They're also adding, they're utilizing the current alignment of the driveway. It was going to shift south, and they're going to use the existing driveway cut there to avoid some impacts to other things along that frontage. This resulted in a shift in the dumpster location. And they've also requested to add security gates for nighttime closure of the site. Previously approved site plan, as you all know, had the facility site on the left, the showroom and offices. And then on the west side was a 3-story warehouse with offices. And the new site plan depicts the outdoor sales display along Avenue C. As Kurt showed you before, this is a view straight on 90 degrees from Avenue C into that display area. The trees that you see along here actually are existing, and those are going to remain. They weren't contemplated on the original site plan, but Viking, as a long-standing established business here, has improved their frontages in most of their properties within this area. And we're going to go ahead and keep those because it's helpful to enhance this buffer here, as well as adding the additional trees that were originally approved. So all the landscape is going in, along with what's there. And as Kurt mentioned, this is a closer depiction of what would be seen from Bicentennial Park. Essentially, it bookends both sides of Bicentennial Park, where you've got the marina and the boats on the east side of Bicentennial Park. Now you'll have, $500,000, $2 million plus boats on the other side of Bicentennial Park. So the view on this side is sort of mirrored from the other. In conclusion, remains consistent with all necessary elements of the comprehensive plan, as Mr. Thompson mentioned. It is a decrease in intensity of from the previous approved plan, ensures a more efficient operation for the almost completed Valhalla Sales and Service Center. And as I just mentioned, creates a sense of place by adding the landscaped outdoor boat sales display along Avenue C versus a 3-story, warehouse building on the road there. So you've got beautiful boats for sale along that. It's a reflection of the boats in the marina east side of the park, as mentioned. Owner agrees to all the staff recommended conditions of approval, which, by the way, I believe one of them is to only have boats for sale in that location. No other material, no other storage. It's not a storage area. It is only for display. And development service staff does recommend approval. I appreciate all of your time, and we're here, as I said, to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. All right, we'll start with questions, or we have comment cards.
No, sir, Chair, we don't have no comment cards for this item.
All right, then we'll start with questions. I'm gonna start on my right side with Mrs. Shepherd.
Just a question. Right on the other side of that building, there's a store there, a grocery store.
The liquor
On
store?
13th Street. Is it a liquor store? I don't know. Yes, it's a liquor store.
14, that's on 14th Street? It's the white square just south of the parking lot there. There's a structure there that used to be a liquor store. It's no longer open.
Okay,
They own it.
Are you all utilizing that? It's not yours?
It's not part of the project, but the applicant does own that property.
Oh, okay. So,
But it's not in operation right
okay,
now.
okay. And then there's a house on the other side.
Yes.
It's vacant. Now tell me, I know you own that piece of property.
Nope. Which one?
It's
Sal's?
it's the only one sitting there.
The big house with the triangular glass in the front?
No, it's yellow.
Oh, I don't know
13th Street, and if you.
Oh, 13th Street. That's one more block south.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is that your property?
Yes.
That's your property?
Yes.
Someone still living there?
Is it occupied? Yes.
Okay. I was just asking because I know that this building is going to be beautiful, but yet still we have all of the, and I was just wondering where you are, if it's your property, where you're going to do something with it. But all in all, I think the property is great. I'm sure it's going to be a beautiful building, just looking at it being built. my imagination might be running away with me, but I think
No, it's going to be beautiful.
I
It's
can
gonna be
tell, I can
something.
tell, I can tell. I go by there quite a bit, and I notice that the workers are working very diligently.
Yes.
So I figure it's gonna be a showstopper here in Riviera Beach.
Your staff made it very clear in our very initial meeting with them that they wanted something very special here.
Very
So-
beautiful.
Mhm.
Flowers gonna be out there, shrubs gonna be out front, or,
Oh, yeah.
oh, okay, I'm with you, I'm with you. Thank you, Mr. Chair, that's all.
Mr. Chair, real quick, a point of order. There was a gentleman out there providing answers. Can he address who he is and how he represents? So we know for the record.
Sure.
Evening, everybody. My name is Jeff Staub. I work for Viking Yacht Company. So I'm just available here to answer any questions. So you didn't ask, but I'll just add an additional comment. Just outside, there is a house. I want to make sure that wasn't the one you were talking about, but there's a house on a lot right next to the parking lot there that we don't own that property, but that was recently demolished. So it is a vacant lot now. I don't know if anybody saw that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Joseph?
Just had a minor question. With the new location for the trash, the dumpster, is it easy access for like the trucks to get in? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, we oriented it for better access from your current carrier that the city holds a contract with, and they've reviewed it and provided feedback that it's acceptable.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Chair.
Mr. Gallo?
I have one question. I think we had this conversation also from the first time you all brought this forward. How are you planning on getting these big boats in and out? If you're gonna bring 18-wheelers in there, how are you gonna get them out on Broadway?
So the boats at this facility will be on boat trailers. The larger vessels come in from the water. Their waterside facility is on the other side, so.
Okay, that's it.
Mr. Guyton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Under the proposed modifications, and this more to staff than it is to the applicant, there is a proposed modification to reduce the amount of parking in the facility parking lot. And it says that this was requested with the original city council presentation and approval. So does that mean it's already been approved? Or, and if so, why is it now on our agenda?
During the original approval, Mr. Guyton, when it went by council, went by the planning board, the city council, council wanted to to have additional landscaping here with a rail and a trellis to beautify the area. So when people are coming down Broadway, they want to see a parking area. You see, you'll have landscaping and treatment and so forth in this area. As a result, the applicant had more than enough parking the first go around. I think they exceeded it by something like 17 or 20 spaces or something like that. But at any rate, they meet the parking regulation now because this building is now no longer being contemplated. And there's like 88 or 90 parking spaces contemplated here and here, which does meet the code, as indicated in the staff.
Okay, just a follow-up question. So the reduction in parking was approved in part to do additional landscaping?
Right. The initial site plan that the council saw was different because there was parking located in this area that the waterproof, but when it got to the council level, council wanted to see more of a landscape treatment here. And so they reduced the parking, but since they have more than enough parking to begin with.
Thank you. The other question that I have,
just for the record, the total parking will be 104 spaces, including the ADA.
okay. What's the minimum required for the square footage that they now have?
88.
88.
88?
Yeah, see, what I quoted you, 88 was the requirement, but what they're providing is actually 104. That's why I want to correct myself for the record.
Okay. The other question is under the drainage comments. The engineer of record essentially indicated that it wouldn't have any negative impact because they're doing pavement. As there is an increase in pavement from the original site plan improvement, we have included a signed and sealed letter from Kimberly Owen, the engineer of record, which states that the slight increase in the impervious area is de minimis, I'm assuming that's minimal, and will not necessitate fully updated drainage calculations for the project site. The engineer of record, is that someone who's neutral, or does that engineer of record work for either the applicant or the city?
He works for the applicant, okay? And one of the things that we do, since the building is under construction now, we always check. Well, I was on the site a couple months ago and saw drainage basins located in this area here. There was one over here. I didn't go throughout the entire site, but I went through those major points. And then there's a one over in this area here, and I want to believe it's over here. They won't get a building permit. I'm sorry, they will not get a CO unless they, those things are met.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I would like to add to that response that the city's engineer does also review their engineer of records, their submittals regarding drainage, and verify those calculations to make sure that the city standards are being met.
Okay. I just wanted to know who was verifying what the applicant was giving us. I mean, not that I don't trust him. It's called trust but verify.
Understood.
But that's good. Last question.
I can appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just business, nothing personal.
No, that's okay. The city's engineer did have some follow-up questions, and we did respond. Our engineer did provide a response letter, which is in your packet. He did ask for a couple of things that the applicant had already anticipated, which was allowing for a future improvement connection on Avenue C, because the applicant has improved the drainage. They've redone the entire 15th Street and all the infrastructure there, including the pavement and all the underground and all the drainage, as well as improvements to the Avenue C corridor to assist in those drainage components. So that's all part of the project, sir.
With respect to the warehouse that is being eliminated, I read somewhere where there's a potential for it to return within the site plan. Did I read that correctly?
I don't believe at this time
No, not now, but they would seem to be leaving the door open that warehouse may return. I was looking for it. But.
Yeah, I don't believe that's
Okay.
contemplated here. They own, if it happens, it would happen an adjacent property or the north. They own property to the north. So I want to get into a lot of
Oh, no, we good.
visioning, but the visioning of them, which coincides with the CRA's sort of master plan, is to have this be a corporate campus.
Yeah.
So the eventual outcome of this area, which they own, is to have additional facilities, but they would be much further north.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question wasn't to question what was being presented and thinking that something was left out for future building. The reason I asked that question, we were talking about drainage. And I wanted to make sure that the drainage would be able to accommodate any additional facilities. So we're on the same page.
Absolutely, and that was part of Terrence's, your city engineer's
comment.
review and comment to make sure that for any
Yeah.
future
Yeah,
plans that they've contemplated it. So there's an ability to tie into this drainage system in the future.
okay. Last question, Mr. Chair. When work is being done on those boats, especially the big ones that are in the water, what safeguards are used to reduce pollutants from contaminating the water, the intercoastal?
Well,
Can you describe what pollutants you might be?
I mean,
Well,
like
the work-
oil, gas, anything that would be able to leak
yeah, they have,
into the water.
well, they have very strict guidelines there at their service site that is on the east side of Avenue C.
I mean, the ones that you work on in the water.
Oh,
Are
in
there
the
any
water?
additional safeguards?
I mean, the site's not on the water.
Well, this one isn't on the water, but if you're talking about their other facility,
Yeah. I would just have, that was a question out of curiosity, not related to this project.
I can't speak to how the
No problem.
operational.
But that wasn't a big issue. It was just something that I think about. How do companies like yours prevent gas and oil and other things from dripping into the intercoastal? When you can't put it on dry land, you work on it in the water.
On boats that are worked on in the water, most of those operations that are dealing with oils and gases and stuff are within the boat, not on the outside of the boat. And the boat is built to contain those products. So if there was a spill in the engine room or something like that,
Okay.
that would stay contained inside the boat to be cleaned up.
It's not my industry. I was
Yeah,
just
no,
curious.
absolutely. I'd be happy to answer
I don't
any question,
pretend to
yeah.
know everything about everything.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Those are all my questions.
All right, thanks a lot, Mr. Guyton. Mr. Fernandez?
Yes, I got just a couple of short questions real quick. Could you possibly use maybe a permeable surface for that area to allow for better drainage? What do you think about permeable surfaces? I know it's been mentioned on previous other projects that have been brought before the Planning and Zoning Board, and it sounds from engineers, from reports we read in the past, sounds like a good idea.
Yeah, and actually, the city engineer is a big proponent of pervious pavement, as you may very well know.
Yes.
In this particular application, because of the weights, it's not advantageous because of the amount of weight that's sitting in these areas. They did contemplate it on the other site years ago, but to do pervious pavement and the substrate that would be needed to accommodate the weight of some of these, particularly the lift vehicles that move them around, it wouldn't be, it's not recommended, and Terrence agrees with that, so.
And then the final question, piggybacking on Mr. Gallon's, the fact was brought up during the last, when we approved this project, of the tractor trailers bringing in those large vessels into the property. And there was a little bit of contention, because I believe one of the right-of-ways is owned by Safe Harbor River Beach. And you guys were that's all taken care of?
Yeah, that was the different site further north.
So there's no issue?
No issue.
You're not gonna be blocking Broadway with those
No.
huge tractor trailers?
No, sir.
Okay, and the last one is, you mentioned a couple of conditions for approval. I only heard of one tonight. What other conditions for approval was recommended by the city, Mr. Thompson?
That is, the only one that I can remember, Mr. Chair, Mr. Fernandez, was involved this area here in terms of the landscaping and the fencing.
Well, on the slide, sir, you have in there conditions of approval were going to be met.
Yes.
What are those conditions?
The previous conditions that were under the original approval are going to carry forward. The only new condition is that they only utilize this area for display of vessels for sale. But the previous conditions are all going to be carried forward, and they're agreeing to those as well, such as your standard condition, any advertisements that they mention in the city of Riviera Beach. There was a condition to install a bus stop, which is already constructed, and they're doing that. So those are all things that are going to be carried through.
And your landscaping is going to be enough to buffer those vessels from the
Yes.
park?
Yes.
Okay, that's it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. All right, Mr. Brown? Okay. I don't have any questions. My colleagues pretty much asked all the great questions and everything. So, no, because Mr. Fernandez asked that question for me. All right, so I guess, yes, sir.
One final question, and I had it highlighted here, but, and when you brought it up, you said that the bus stop shelter has already been constructed?
It is. It's behind the fence, but it's been constructed, yes.
When you say behind the fence?
Behind the construction fence.
Oh.
Once the construction fence is removed, you'll be able to see it. It's there.
Okay.
A new
And-
bus
and-
stop, shelter in Riviera Beach blue, and
To the city, obviously, and Palm Springs specifications.
yes, sir. Absolutely.
Because I see that you had, within 8 months of approval, according to the conditions of approval here.
Yeah.
So it's already up and,
It's up.
okay. All right,
Yes,
then,
sir.
thank you, Mr. Chair.
All right, and the question that I had was, I just wanted to ask also that since you're not going to be putting the building there, what was the motivation to be able to make the change, to be able to make that a display area? And then the storage area, just so as a repeat, what were those items that were going to be stored in that area? You said they were going to be moved further north to the new facilities?
Yeah.
New future facilities?
Yeah, there's no storage here. There wasn't gonna be any storage in the past either. I just wanted to make sure that it was clear that this wasn't gonna be used for a storage yard,
Absolutely.
that is only for display.
Well, I apologize. Maybe I used the wrong word. Then that area is just going to be an office building area. That's all it was going to be. And you just
It's gonna
decided
be It was gonna be a warehouse. It was gonna house parts.
got it. Got it.
And there no longer is a need in their operation to house 3 stories of parts.
That's okay. That's what I was looking for. So, and they just make it to where you're going to be just storing the brand new boats out there for sight for us to be able to look at.
Exactly.
All right.
And purchase.
And for them to purchase. Absolutely. So now, there's no more questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may have a moment to sidebar with the applicant, please.
Yes.
Sorry about that, Mr. Chair.
No problem.
I spoke with the applicant about their original site plan resolution. There were a couple conditions on it related to the construction of East 15th Street that the applicant had committed to, as well as 17th Street. I just confirmed with them that they are still in agreement with those conditions that the site plan was originally approved with, that they would continue with this site plan and be added to what was already submitted under conditions. And I can read those into the record if necessary as well.
Please do.
In the original approval, the condition number 8 was that the reconstruction of East 15th Street must take place in phase 1 of this project. The street shall be reconstructed with curb and gutter on both sides of the street and a 6-foot sidewalk on both sides of the roadway. The developer shall coordinate with the Riviera Beach CRA to ensure ornamental lighting and street furniture consistent with that of Bicentennial Park are installed along the street. Condition number 9, when the condition of 17th Street deteriorates to a point where resurfacing, material repairs, or reconstruction is required as reasonably determined by the city, the applicant shall participate in an equitable cost-sharing arrangement to contribute to the cost of such projects, taking into account the other traffic burdens and capacities which 17th Street serves. Those were the 2 conditions that were originally included in this project
Thank you, sir.
that are still applicable.
Thank you. By that being said, are there any other questions from the board?
Mr. Chairman, let me just make one comment.
Mm-hmm.
You were talking about the bus Well, the tarp came off and you can see it now. I passed by there today, I almost ran
It's a
myself
windy
over.
day.
Yes, and I just happened to look and I'm like, I knew it was gonna be a bus stop, but I didn't know where. So when I passed by there, the tarp that came off, it's blue.
Yes,
Yes, I
just
saw
to
it.
match the rest of the bus stops.
Yes, very
ma'am.
nice. It's very nice. I think that was a little added on because it's gonna be nice for them to sit down and that's all, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
For the record, the conditions that Mr. Sermons read in the construction of 15th Street is completed. Curb and gutter, landscapes going in. We are coordinating with the CRA as mentioned for the light poles. So those improvements, like I said and mentioned in my presentation, they've updated the infrastructure in there, all the underground is all completed along 15th Street, which is a nice entryway into Bicentennial.
Okay, thank you. All right, we'd like to move, would we like to go ahead and do a site plan, application number SP 240024 to a vote?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
I move that we approve this item with the conditions read into the record by the Mr. Sherman. Sermon.
Ready? Are we ready for the vote, Chair?
Yes.
It has been properly motioned and properly motioned by Vice Chair Guyton and seconded by Chairperson Shepherd.
Not Vice Chair Shepherd.
Ms. Shepherd,
Vice Chair. Did you say that?
no.
Oh, okay. Thank you. I
Honorary.
was moving up.
Goals? Okay, we're ready for the vote, Chair.
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Fernandez?
Yes.
Ms. Shepherd?
Yes.
Vice Chair Guyton?
Yes.
Chair Wiley?
Yes.
The vote passes with unanimous vote.
On to 7B.
7B, a resolution for the city of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application SP 24-0023 from the Riviera Beach Utility Special District, USD, to allow for the construction of the new maintenance shop, approximately 9,200 square feet, and paved area for maintenance yard and bulk storage area. The subject property is located at 909 Avenue U, property control number 5643 42 31 16 000-0010 on a parcel located totally approximately plus minus 3.54 acres, having a utilities future land use destination and utilities zoning district classification, providing for conditions of approval and providing for an effective date. The presenter would be Principal Planner Kurt Thompson.
Thank you, Brella. Again, for the record, Kurt Thompson, Principal Planner. Before you is the project location showing the subject property by the red dot, adjacent to Dr. Martin Luther King Boulevard. This is the land use description of the property as read by Umbrella that you see here. The property is located with the crosshatch area. This is Martin Luther King Boulevard. This is Avenue U right here. The subject site plan is before you. Again, this is Martin Luther King Boulevard here. This is north and south. This is west and this is east. This is Avenue U here. And there's a drainage canal along this area. This building here is going to be a new maintenance structure here. And this area is to be used for drainage retention. This area is, I think, pump sites. As I remember, and this is the existing storage tower that you see when you're driving along Martin Luther King Boulevard or Avenue U. As you can see, the idea is to clean up the site and make it more presentable, provide parking and other such amenities. Okay. Again, the location, Martin Luther King Boulevard, Avenue U, and the site here in red. This is to give you a rendering of what the new maintenance building is going to look like, 9,200 square feet. This to give you some sort of an idea of how it's going to look when it is built. This is the rendering of the subject property, approximately plus or minus 3.54 acre site under the plat of Port Commerce Center 3. Okay, so the proposed improvements will be constructed on the parcel totaling 3.5 acres. The planned upgrades include a new maintenance shop of about 9,200 square feet, concrete pavement for the maintenance yard and the bulk storage areas, and asphalt pavement for a new shop. The remaining of the site will be landscaped with grass and other materials. I have here behind me Mr. Dan Marr and Ms. Llewellyn, who are the project managers for this site. Ms. Llewellyn, I think, is the most familiar, and if she likes, she can make any presentation she likes, or I think, or Dan will make any presentation. I think the intent here is to primarily listen to any questions that you may have.
That's not Dan.
The application. Sorry.
No
I didn't
worries,
mean to
Kurt.
leave out.
I'm not making a presentation, so
I didn't mean to leave out Ms. Suzanne Melcher.
thank you.
She handles a lot of the presentation and public outreach.
Yeah.
Let-
Suzanne Meckler with the joint venture of Haskell and CDM Smith. I just want to note that this is part of the overall project for the water treatment plant. This maintenance facility is to replace the maintenance facility that will eventually be demolished that's currently located on Blue Heron by the railroad tracks. So it's to give them an opportunity and place to have maintenance in the future. Kurt is correct. Our design team is here to answer any technical questions that you might have on this parcel. Okay, thank you.
So let me try to wrap up. This request meets all of the 6 site plan criteria as determined by staff. And it is the staff's request that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval of the proposed site plan, subject to the staff report's conditions of approval to the City of Riviera Beach City Council. If I may say, as a summary, this is an attempt to clean up and improve the subject site in relation to to the case that you're going to hear next, which is Avenue L. It's a very straightforward request to clean up and build a new maintenance shop, and hopefully staff recommends that you consider recommending to council of approval. That concludes staff's presentation.
Do we have any comment cards?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. We have one public comment card, Ms. Mary Bram, on this item. At this time, the public comment cards requests are closed.
Mr. Chair, this public comment is based on just this proposal, not the entire project,
No,
correct?
just this item right here.
Yes, thank you.
Ms. Mayor Bram, Riviera Beach residents. Long overdue. That plant there resides on MLK, coming into our main entrance way in our city. U Avenue, we have the #1 school in the country, Suncoast. And not only that, Bethune Elementary School, all of those schools there are lined on that corridor, as well as the beautiful upbuilding of Missouri Estates. And then the MLK, I'm not going to leave out that. And we have long wanted that plant built up. I must say this, that when Mr. Horton was here, I was one of the ones that was pushing for the upbuilding too of that plant there. And he would always tell me, Miss Bram is coming, Miss Bram is coming. And some things when they do come, they come in great packages. So I'm gonna say, long overdue, glad to see it, that it will be moved and moved on. You made mention also about the grass. How about the tolerance plants? You know, you do have some, what type of other gardenings that you've done? Now, I'm going to tell the general public, I said this in the meeting here. Miss Bram is not trying to be spotty here. I lost one of my dolphin earrings cleaning up my yard. So, and my husband bought me these when he passed away. So I'm still wearing one, and I just throwed an earring in my ear. So Miss Bram is not trying to be hip with you, okay? Having two different earrings in her ear. So I just want to know about the plants, because I do want it beautified, because I do believe in beauty, because this city deserves it. And like I say, that is a corridor there. No matter what, it is a storage or whatever, all of that should be neatly compacted to beautify that what is there. That is long overdue. But some things is worth waiting for when it's going to implement it to reach that goal, and how we see our city. How we see our city moving and being built up. So I just wanted to comment about it, because I'm for one that have pushed this and pushed this and pushed this. So thank you all for taking the task on and doing the job. And thank the Planning and Zoning Board as well too. And we just do not want to have it, as an item on the agenda here, but we want it moved. We want it done, because it is long overdue. I have parents that attend Suncoast, because I know a lot of the school board stuff and all that kind of stuff. And when they come through that corridor there, that's why I'm trying to clean it up as best as I can, because we are so particular in being labeled in who we are. And what you see is not what it is. It just needs that cleanup and brush up. So as a board and as a staff here, thank you, Mr. Sermon. Thank you, staff, for doing the works that need to be done. So thank you all, and have a good evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Brown.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to proceed with questions. Yes, we're going to proceed with questions. I'm going to start from my left side this time. Let's start with Mr. Brown.
The site plan looks okay to me. Everything looks in line.
Mr. Fernandez.
As everybody knows here, my plans and landscaping, I love it, because you've got Avenue U and across the street, 10th Street, and all those residential areas. We really need a lot of landscape buffer in there. And if we can use less water retaining plant, grass or anything else, it would be a lot better, because that way we don't waste the precious water we now have. So, I mean, it's a thought. I'm just throwing it out there. Nice landscaping, and some type of landscaping that is not as water needy as we normally have in Florida. We got to start getting away from that philosophy and thought idea. But thank you very much for bringing this up to us. We definitely have to have an improvement, and this is just the beginning.
Thank you, Mr. Fernandez. Mr. Guyton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just have an operational question. Where would the maintenance be done during the building of the new building? Would the old one stay up, or what is the logistical?
All services will be maintained at the current facility until both the Avenue L and the Avenue U sites are completed, and then they will move over. So it will be a transition once complete. And I think the Avenue U site, that maintenance facility, they could potentially move over to that earlier than the plant site for sure.
Okay, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Guyton. Mr. Gallo?
I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment. I would like to piggyback off Ms. Brown's comments that this city is finally moving forward, and I'm happy to see that something is being done for that area. And I would like to also applaud the staff and also our city manager for making this stuff possible. We have fire stations now, and we're getting ready to move forward, I hope, with the new city hall. So great job for everyone.
Absolutely. Mrs. Joseph?
Again, thank you for your presentation. Just a quick comment / question too. Is there an opportunity to beautify the water container? I don't know if there's ever been talks to make that like a public art piece of some sort. Similar to what you see at Broadway and, they have the Obama picture, Michelle Obama on there.
So currently, there's no concept for art at this location, at the Avenue U site. When you look at the Avenue L, you will see the frontage of the building, and we do have some planned artwork there, although I don't know if I would define it as public art. Usually but we do intend to increase the beautification through some artwork on the building, on the Avenue L site.
Thank you.
Mrs. Shepherd?
No questions, but I'm definitely glad that site is going to be beautified. It's about time that piece of property is going to be, I want to say restored, but built. And just the little things that we're doing in the city to beautify, I am so happy. And this is just a small little project, but you don't know how that site looked very bad when you go by there. So I'm anticipating that it's going to be soon that you're going to start. Definitely looking forward. And just thank you for your service. Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Thank you. And just one comment also, again, just to piggyback off what Mrs. Brown, Ms. Shepherd, and what everyone on the board stated, that again, thank you for coming into the city and being able to clean up that area. I personally live in the Federal Gardens area, which is on that corridor also. And what we do need in that neighborhood with such good neighbors is the beautification, just be able to look at something and be proud of something that we necessarily need, but also have the beautification coming from the project also. So thanks a lot for coming into our city with that. Let's go ahead and go to a vote.
Motion?
Second.
The motion is going to be approving site plan application SP 240023 as read into the record by Ms. Weathers, explained by Principal Planner Thompson, and the company that's helping beautify our wonderful water plant system.
Second.
And Mr. Chair, to clarify, there were conditions of approval also recommended by staff, correct?
Mr. Thompson, there were conditions of approvals?
Yes, sir. There are conditions of approval.
Could you read them into the record, please?
They are the same conditions in the staff report that's in your backup. No changes from what staff included in the packet. But if you would like to hear all of them read, we could certainly
We
do
need
that.
to read them into the record?
Read them in, yeah, read them in, please.
Number one, a 2-year landscape performance bond of for 110% of the value of landscaping and irrigation shall be required before a certificate of occupancy or certificate of completeness is issued. Number two, construction and landscaping improvements must be initiated within 18 months of the effective date and this resolution in accordance with section 31-60B of the city code or ordinances. Demolition, site preparation and/or land clearing shall not be considered construction. Building permit application and associated plans and documents shall be submitted in its entirety and shall not be accepted by the city staff in a partial or incomplete manner. Number three, city council authorizes city staff to approve future amendments to this site plan administratively, so long as the site does not deviate more than 15% from the originally approved site plan. For this development must receive a final certificate of occupancy from the city for all uses approved within 5 years of the approval of the adopting resolution, or the adopting resolution shall be considered null and void, requiring the applicant to resubmit an application for site plan and special exception approval and reinitiate the site plan approval. 5, all future advertising must state that the development is located within the city of Riviera Beach. Fees and penalties in accordance with City Code Section 31-554 will be levied against the property owner and/or business for violation of this condition. And 6, once approved, this resolution shall supersede any previous site plan approval resolution associated with this property, causing previous site plan approval resolutions to be null and void.
Is that it, Mr. Thompson? So then I'm going to amend my motion. In addition, for site plan application SP 240023 to address the conditions of approval read into the record by our principal planner, Kurt Thompson.
Second.
Are we ready for the vote?
Yes.
It has been properly motioned and second. Mr. Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Frank Fernandez,
Yes.
Miss Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bruce Guyton,
Yes.
Chair William Wiley.
Yes.
The vote passes with unanimous vote, Chair.
All right, let's move on to 7C.
A resolution of the city council of the city of Riviera Beach, Palm Beach County, Florida, approving site plan application SP 24-0021 from Riviera Beach Utility Special District to allow for the construction of a new 6.0 million gallon per day MG Utility Special District membrane based water treatment plant to be located at 2391 Avenue L, parcel control number 5643-4228-015-081 and 5643-4228-31-015-0010 on a project site totaling approximately 8.28 acres, having a utilities future land use destination and a utilities zoning district clarification, providing for conditional of approval for providing an effective date. The presenter of this will be Principal Planner Kurt Thompson.
All right. For the record, Kurt Thompson again, and this is a project that everyone has been waiting to come to fruition. The location map shows the location of the subject property, or the approximate location by the red dot. You've heard Abrella read into the record regarding this project. This is the site plan of the subject site. What you have here is, this is West Blue Heron Boulevard here, Avenue L here. You have adjacent warehouse uses here, and then on the east side of Avenue L, there are additional warehouse uses here. If the board will remember, you approve a rezoning and land use change of the subject property a few months back from general commercial in this area and community facilities in this area to make it all utility land use and all utilities zoning. And the purpose of that was to allow for such a project as this to take place. The use itself of water treatment plant is allowed by right in the utility zoning district. What you are approving now, or well, hopefully what you are reviewing, is the site plan. Okay, you're looking at the site plan and the site plan only. But what I would like to say is you also see here areas of access, of ease of access here, and over here off of West Blue Heron. This is the storage tower, much like what you saw at Avenue U. The area, the main portion of the plant is here. This is a membrane-based water treatment plant, also known as the reverse osmosis or RO. Water is submitted through racks of chamber-like, tube-like structures, which are filters, will filter out all of the impurities, and what you have in the end is water that is usable and drinkable. This is a look of the subject site with West Blue Heron, Avenue L. You have here this street here, which is, I believe that's Australian, and you have here an industrial area here, which is adjacent and south of the subject property. Okay, these renderings you're about to see, I think, adequately explains the situation and give you some sort of idea of the project. Okay, this is West Blue Heron here, and this is Avenue L, and this is the proposed new plant. This is that water tower that I spoke to you earlier about. This is the main administrative building, along with the location of the treatment process structures. Okay, so again, West Blue Heron, Avenue L. Okay. This is looking at, using a model rendering. This is Avenue L here, looking from the southeast to the northwest. This is the parking area that you see here, and this is the lot. West Blue Heron Boulevard here and Avenue L. Okay. This is another view of it, looking up high. Again, this is looking from northwest to southeast. The other slide shows you the reverse. Now you're looking at it, but this is the parking lot area being proposed. This is the main administration building, the service building here, and then this is the water tower, storage tower here, okay? The whole intent here is to try to be able to provide what we all hope is the best possible water for the highest number of people. The city population is about 38,000 people plus or minus, but the service area is actually approximately 50,000 people, okay? And the service area is much broader than the actual urbanized or municipal area. The intent and hope here is that the city and its residents will finally get what they've been asking for a long time. This is a lower view. The previous slide was up high, and this view is down almost at ground level. Again, West Blue Heron Boulevard, Avenue L is back over here. This is administration building, the service structures here, the water tower here, and additional associated structures supporting the operation. These are renderings. You okay, Miss Shepherd? You can see it all? You
Yes,
good?
I could. Thank you.
Good.
Thank you.
Okay. I always got to take care of Miss Shepherd.
Thank you, darling.
Be noticed.
Don't get jealous now.
This is the north building, looking from West Blue Heron Boulevard, looking south, and this is what you would see when you're looking straight on at the building. And then here at the south end, this is the back end of the subject building. Okay. This is the rendering of east and west. You see here, this is the subject building that you're looking at. If I may, yep. Okay, this is the east elevation here, and then you're looking at the west elevation here. Okay. So what you have here now is the staff summary. The proposed membrane water treatment plant improvements will be constructed on both parcels. There are two parcels of property, but in this instance, you're going to be seeing a replat. And for Mr. Brown, there will be a replat submitted, sir, merging these two lots to one single parcel of property. Been working on that with Dan, as he shakes his head. We're working on that. Hopefully, we'll get a plat to all of you. We're hoping January, but I'm not good at prognosticating, so I'm hoping to get it to you all in January. We think we can. We're working hard to try to make that happen. Okay. The site is plus or minus 8.28 acres. See, typically, and doing some research, for a population of for a service area serving about 50,000 people, you would need a lot, approximately a minimum of 10 acres in size. This lot is barely just over 8 acres. And so there was every effort, the engineer and talking to Dan and his staff, trying to make the most of this site and get everything in that's necessary to make this site a usable site and meet all the needs of the city and meet all state, county, and local regulations. Okay. What you have here is, as I mentioned, the zoning is now utilities. The future land use is also utilities. And this is why the staff came to you all and asked for a rezoning and a land use change. It makes it easier and this process much more seamless with utilities, land use and zoning designation. Now you can see the reason, the method to the madness here. This request meets all 6 of the site plan criteria, has reviewed by staff. And lastly, and finally, staff requests that the Planning and Zoning Board recommend approval of the proposed site plan subject to the staff report's conditions that you have in the staff report in your backup, and recommend approval to the Riviera Beach City Council. That concludes staff's presentation. I think Suzanne is here along with Dan and Ms. Llewellyn to offer any additional input if they so desire. But I think the main thing now is to listen to your questions.
Mr. Chair, but before we move to public comment and the board, I got a question. Do we have a rendering with landscaping?
No, I didn't include that there is a landscape plan that was included.
Okay, that'll be my question. I just want to make sure if you had a rendering with landscaping, so that way the community could see it, we can see it, so we get a better picture of the rendering instead of just a building with a water plant in the middle of Blue Heron as we're running in and out.
I hear you.
But that just asking. I
Yeah,
thought before we
but
move
it's,
on.
it's a part of your backup, and that landscape plan will be a part of the backup for city council. But I can look at creating a slide for that, but
Mr. Chair, thank you so much.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, just to clarify, we have a landscaping plan in there, and we can definitely work on creating a rendering that shows the landscaping in it. That'll be worked on for sure.
That is available, it's just not available.
Could you talk into the mic, please?
Yeah, we do have a rendering. It wasn't available for presentation tonight, but it will be at the end of this week. There is a landscape plan in the package, I believe you have, that was submitted with site plan approval. And we can answer any questions on landscaping.
You have any questions, ma'am? You have any statements? Ma'am? You have no statements? All right, do we have any comment cards?
Yes, sir, Chair. We have one public comment card on this item, Ms. Mary Bram.
For rendering, from the last time that we did this presentation on, I was back there trying to find it in all of my other documentations and stuff. But to make a long story short here, we are laying all of these foundations here so that we can get this water plant built here. And just on that corner alone, all along that particular corridor there versus the Broadway, I think, yeah, that's a Broadway corridor there too. For everything that compromises within our city to be on some of the main corridors, which is a good thing, because it faces from both directions, from the Australian side to the Blue Heron side. But my question is, when I think about membrane, it says like a layer. What that layer there, am I correct? What that layer there does in order to, maintain those facilities, because membranes is just what it is. Is it a thin layer, or what type of layer it consists of? In order to does it wrap around? Does it wrap around? So I would like for you to highlight the general public about that, because I'm quite sure that they do not know it. Whereas Ms. Bram, I try to I read and I try to follow up, but I'm quite sure when you say membrane-based water treatment plant, and that word itself, see, you can take it for something else, but it's really some wraparound. So Ms. Bram wants to know too, from a general point of view, what type of a wraparound is it? And exactly what does it do? Am I correct? Boy, you're kind of looking too, because I believe you want to know too, exactly what it does. So that is my question. And then I'm so glad to have this moving on here. I can't wait to get this plant built. For a decade, we have waited for this. And to see the moving parts coming all together is magnificent. So I thank everyone in every department that has labored with this, because I keep saying that we are a city that is on the move. And we must move within the 21st century and beyond. So I would like for you to explain that, please.
Chair, am I able to comment on that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to give a high-level understanding of the treatment system that we're putting in. So just to kind of look at the site real quick, the frontage that's along Blue Heron Boulevard is administration facilities. Again, that is replacing the administration facilities that are currently at the water treatment plant site. Behind it is where you see the kind of the blue and white. That is the membrane building. So when we talk about membrane building, what's in that building is skids. So these skids are essentially have vessels that run along them, okay? These vessels have really, really, really tight spiral wound system in place, okay? So the difference between what you currently have, which is more of a passive treatment system, right? You kind of let the water treat itself, you put some chemicals in there, you mix it around, you filter it. It's very passive. This is a very intensive system where you're pushing the water through these membranes, these spiral membranes, which create a huge amount of filtration. Just basically filtration to the max, because it's like they're pushing through individual layers, right? And so we have two types of membranes at this treatment facility, one for the superficial aquifer system that you have here. Those membranes are not as tight because they are not, you're not trying to push, remove other, I'm just going to use a couple of words here. In the Floridan system, which requires the reverse osmosis membranes, you have salt in it, and you have to have a tighter membrane to remove the salt. Okay, so that's the difference. It's a little bit looser membrane in the Biscayne aquifer or the superficial aquifer system, tighter membranes in the other ones. The other thing I want to point out, because it might not be clear since we're doing such a different treatment process, is that it's in a building because for a couple of reasons. One, to protect the equipment, and two, it's also going to be a lot louder than your current treatment system. You're going to have pumps. These pumps are relatively high pressure to push that water through the membranes. And so because of those reasons, we want it contained in the building so you're not creating noise for the community. Once it's in the building, nobody outside the building will know it, but if it's not in the building, you would hear it. And so the components that are behind the membrane building, there's another building that's kind of like that white building. That is a pretreatment building that is currently being used to include a microfiltration system in it. That is again going to improve your current system. It's also a similar membrane style filtration system. So behind that is chemicals which are needed for this type of process, and then like we said, the ground storage tank. So does that help answer questions? I have images and pictures, but I don't have them with me. So next time, images and pictures for you. Okay, thank you. I know you know it. You've seen it. So, all right, we're here to answer any other questions.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna start with board comments. I'm gonna start with Ms. Shepherd.
Well, it seems like a well thought out plan. I do have a question. The trucks for the company, where would they be? Because there's a lot of trucks, isn't it? I see them coming in and out.
Are you talking about the trucks, the utility special district trucks?
Yes.
Right. So there are three entrances along Avenue L. Trucks are intended to enter the facility.
Mic up so I can hear you.
Trucks are intended to enter the facility through the southernmost entrance along Avenue L. If you move the pointer to the left, keep going to the left.
Avenue L left.
Avenue L left all the way to the south by the ground store. Yeah, there we go.
There you go.
Right here. So there's a guardhouse there along with access control, and you have enough storage and staging there to get, tractor trailers completely out of Avenue L. So this would be for really all truck traffic. That includes chemical deliveries, fuel deliveries, any deliveries really. All those trucks would exit one way through this entrance here, which is the center. There's another entrance here that's pretty much for employees and smaller vehicles. That's also access controlled. And then you have the entrance off of Blue Heron, and this is really for employee parking and general public that is visiting the facility.
I guess just to also clarify, for the USD trucks that you see at the current site are a combination of both water treatment plant and also maintenance. So that will be split up. So the majority of the USD trucks that you currently see will go to the maintenance facility, but there will still be some associated with the water treatment plant staff. Does that help?
So the utility district office, the one that's right there at City Hall, they would be moving down there to that treatment plant, or they stay where they're at?
Yeah, I think they move, but I'm not as familiar with that facility.
But yeah, no, all the staff currently, so the City Hall site is where the water treatment plant is. Yeah. All the staff currently at the water treatment plant building, that building that's right there, are going to move to this site.
They're moving.
And the only ones that are moving to the other side are the maintenance, but either way, everyone is gone at that site because we're demolishing it. So everyone is moving from that location, and I think you guys have a plan to do something beautiful with it. I don't know what that is.
That's what I was really
Yeah, no.
alluding to.
We will be gone. They will be gone.
Oh,
We
they'll
will
be
be
gone.
gone. Yep.
Also, I was reprimanded last week because I asked what the landscaping or give me a rendering of because I do visual, and I am kind of disappointed that we didn't really do a visual, but I was reprimanded because, different people do different things, but I think for a long time they spoiled us. Yeah, I love the drawings that they had and the way you landscape it. I'm excited about it. It's time, and I think that the residents are going to be very, very happy. And this is the step in the right direction. I just appreciate you all coming in here and giving us a firsthand look of how the building is going to go, how it's going to be run, and it gives you a comfort to allow the residents to see the stepping stone that this city is taking. So I thank you for your just know-how to do whatever it is to do. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Absolutely. Ms. Joseph?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for your presentation. Just a quick question. During the transition, what impact will that have on residents as it pertains to once the new facility is on board and the old facility shutting down? Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I mean, our intent is to not have any disruption. We will be doing some startup of one facility, and there will be some overlap of water. We're actually doing some testing of your distribution system right now to try to develop a plan that helps us figure out how best to do that ramp up, because you're just going to ramp up from one different water supply to another different water supply. So we do have that plan in place. So there will be some overlap where you're getting water from potentially both sources. And then once, the startup and commissioning of the system is done, we will completely transition. So the residents shouldn't see an impact. There's definitely not going to be a stoppage of service. We are going to have a couple of tie-ins along the way because we have to relocate where we're tying into the distribution system. So there might be some disruption of service just for that period of time. But the intent, and it'll be covered through your ground storage tanks and other ways of serving the customers. But the actual transition and the commissioning of the system is going to be actually a relatively long thought out process. And any impact to the customers will be notifications and things like that. We will keep the community informed of what's going on during that transition.
Thank you, Chair. That was my only comment.
Yes. Mr. Gallo?
No question.
Mr. Guyton?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions. Ms. Thompson indicated that we serve about 50,000 people, 38 of which are our own residents, but some additional. And he indicated that typically require a 10-acre site. And then he indicated that this is a little more than 8 acres. I didn't grasp how we are accommodating for those lack of 2 extra acres. Could somebody just in summary, a nutshell, not a dissertation, just very briefly in a nutshell, kind of in layman's terms too?
Yeah, well, high level, when we plan for a facility of this size, it is nice to have a bit more space. the shape of the site is also a little awkward to develop. Certainly would be easier if it was a rectangle and not an L.
Okay.
But as the facility developed and we looked at the meeting all of the city requirements, all the regulatory requirements, including drainage and all the underground utilities, which you don't see here. If we were to take this site and flip it over, you'd see a tremendous amount of underground piping for utilities, chemical delivery, chemical addition, stormwater, and you need the space to actually interconnect all these facilities because they are all interconnected. And so, without the extra acreage, all of that has to get pushed closer
It's
together.
condensed now.
Yeah, it's condensed. And, it's very tight. As we've continued to develop the design, some of these facilities have gotten larger than maybe what we had originally planned, and that's normal. Electrical buildings might get a little bigger because you have more power needs as pumps change size. So there's a lot of intricacies, but in the end, what you see, the result of this several months of work is, the facility, the site is very compact, right? Everything is compressed together.
Okay, thank you. Now, with it being condensed and compact, does that compromise anything as it relates to the quality of the water?
No, it doesn't affect the water treatment process. It's mostly just being able to fit everything. It's the concept of trying to, cram a lot of stuff into a small space, but it does not affect it at all.
So there are no shortcuts?
No shortcuts. And we obviously, when we do this, we do consider operation and maintenance, and of course, meeting the requirements, right? So no compromises.
Thank you. Another question. A portion of this property used to be a fueling station. What measures were taken to ensure that there was no underground contamination where those fueling stations were?
So,
short, no dissertation. Okay.
A permit was pulled to demolish and remove that facility, and it was done according to the regulatory requirements. So a licensed contractor was contracted to complete that work. Once the tanks are removed, there is testing that is done. And that testing is done to screen for any, contaminants. And that was all done properly, and that permit is closed out.
All clear?
It's all clear, yeah.
Okay. Last question. That's all I need to know. And no disrespect. I just know. I like to move the meeting on.
Sure.
Last question for me. And this may not be a question that you all have the ability to answer, and if you don't, I understand. Is the financing in place to complete this project?
The finance director is bringing to the USD board meeting in January a rate increase. That rate increase is necessary to be able to go out for bonds. So the schedule is the rate increase would be scheduled for January, and then they have a 90-day period to get the bonds. So we will be able to pretty much maneuver once that happens. We are also, as you probably have heard, looking for other financing mechanisms. On the agenda on December 18th is us putting together the report for a facilities plan that is required for the state revolving fund program. Once they approve that, we will submit for the state. We also had a meeting with South Florida Water Management District today to talk about funding options that they have. So we're kind of working everything in parallel right now. But the next step to really have the project funded is the rate increase that's scheduled for January, and that will allow the finance director to go out for bonds for the project.
Okay, so we're still working on getting the financing in place.
It is currently not in place. That is a correct
Okay, that
statement.
was my question. Okay, that's all I have.
All right, Mr. Fernandez.
Got a couple of questions. We're going from a facility that right now produces 17.5 million gallons per day to a facility that's going to be producing 16 million per gallon. And that 50,000 figure is conservative because during the in-season, we quadruple here. And I believe we also service Palm Beach Shores.
Right.
That is correct? We also service Palm Beach Shores?
That is correct, yes.
Okay, that 50,000 figure is way low. Plus all the buildings that have gone through this planning and zoning board, add a couple of thousand more to that.
Mhm.
So I just want to make sure that whatever we're building now is going to be sufficient for the future that our comprehensive plan is calling for and everything that we have approved to date.
Yep.
So that's the question number one.
Understood. So you are not operating at 17.5. The plant is permitted to 17.5 right now. You're operating around 10. Okay. So, and in season, maybe 11. So you go up and down about 1 MGD. This facility is designed to 14. That will be on day one, ability to expand to 16. And that is based on the fact that we worked with your current group on the projections. And that is in line with what you're projected at for the next, I think, 40 years. So even the current development is considered in that. And that 16 was to allow that development to happen. So from the perspective of both the comp plan and the population projections that we've worked with the city on, that 16 will get you there.
Also, on the membrane filtration system, the way it was originally explained, it should resolve the yellow water we
Yes.
now have. Am I correct? Just to confirm that with you.
That is correct statement, yes.
Okay. And another question I had on the financing side, I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, we missed a couple of deadlines on federal and state grants. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not aware of any deadlines missed. I do know that we were unable to submit for alternative water supply funding last year. So both the federal and the state are revolving. And so the state budget is going to start they're going to have a new pot of money that gets approved with the budget approval in summer. So their next full funded program will be August. We are actually trying to go to a February to get some funding because they have some funding left available. And then we're going to go back in August on the state side. And on the federal side, I'm not as familiar, but I know they just submitted the WIFIA request, and that can be submitted, and we can go for that at any time.
So we do have people working on those funding, correct?
That is
Grants and
correct.
Funding?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
I just have a quick question for you. There appears to be a wall on the south side of the property.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
There appears to be a wall on the south side.
Oh, the wall on the south side.
And it seems to be along the west side too. What kind of wall is it? How high?
Yeah, there is a retaining wall. It's probably about 4 feet vertical from the interior portion to the cap. And that is necessary to provide additional stormwater retention volume to meet the stormwater requirements. But it is a dry pond, so it runs from pretty much the entire south side of the property and then does return for a short portion on the west.
So it goes like halfway along the west side.
No, not even halfway. It's let's see.
Yeah, I couldn't determine from this map.
It stops probably about here.
Okay.
So, and then it is most of the length of the south side.
And the buildings on the south side are warehouses.
It is a commercial property. I think it's a piping supply Core and Main. Yep. Core and Main, I think, is the company. It's a small warehouse building with mostly yard space.
Yeah, I mean, okay, thank you.
All right, and one more thing. I have two questions. Again, for the parking area there, how many employees are you gonna have? Just how many employees you gonna have at the facility?
I think it's, yeah, I may not get the exact number right, but it's about 32 maximum.
Okay, got it. Because my next question was gonna be about how much parking, and you're gonna have plenty of parking.
Yeah.
Plus, how many vehicles are you gonna have that was gonna be transferred over to that area? How many vehicles do you have over the previous area now? I just want to make sure that there's enough.
I can say to Mr. Chairman that there's 60 parking spaces planned, and that meets the code.
Got it.
60 parking spaces.
Right, I just want to make sure they
And
had
it's going to
enough.
be on a rolling basis. Not everyone's going to be there one time.
Got it. All right. And just for, I guess, for people watching, and definitely I want to know how long it's going to take. And I know it's going to be a while, but how long will it be before it's fully operational?
Oh.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay. The current schedule has quarter for 2027. Working as fast as we can.
No, greatness takes time. Got it. I don't have any more questions. Does anyone on the board have any more questions?
Mr. Chair, do we have the gentleman's name on record? Dan, I believe. Do we have your name on the record?
Daniel Mayer.
Session.
I am a design product manager and civil engineer of record.
All right, I'm glad you said it also. Young lady, can you please step up to the mic and introduce yourself and let us know what position you have?
I'm Laila Llewellyn. I am CDM Smith's project technical lead.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you for the presentation. It was a great presentation.
Chair?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
I ask one more question? I don't know if you know this, I'm just curious. When you transfer over to the other plant, the water that's in the tanks, what do you do with that water? Now, how's that water?
We gotta go pull it out. And
Sorry, which tanks? At the existing facility?
Yes, at the existing facility and then the new facilities here. My question, maybe you don't know it, I'm just nosy. What do you do with the other water that's in the tanks already? How do you get rid of it?
It will ultimately be drained out. They'll be drained out before those facilities are demolished.
Okay, so when the new tank, when the new tank open up, you already have the water in the new tanks?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. So the old one, you drain out. So where you
Correct.
drain it?
We will drain we will take as much as we can out to distribution, and the balance of it, which will have solids most likely, will end up going to wastewater, to the wastewater collection system.
But will you take this old water out by tank? By tanks?
No. It'll be
Minimum.
piped out and connected to your sanitary sewer system to slowly empty those facilities over time into your sanitary sewer system. And ultimately, that water will end up at the facility that treats your existing wastewater flows.
Okay, so you shut that down, you fill the tanks up before you start I'm just confused how you get rid of it.
We actually don't have tanks at the new water treatment plant. We are the current system we have a tank, but it's a storage tank. The current system that you have uses the tanks to treat. Our system, the new membrane system, is just skids. There's no tanks. There's no open air. There's no water that you can see. So all we're doing is pushing the water through those skids. So we're not filling up anything. We're just starting the flow of water through.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it's just a completely different technology, but
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank
You're welcome.
Mr.
Thank you.
Chair.
Chair.
Security. Can someone speak on security?
So the site is access controlled. So there's a fence around the entire perimeter. Each of the gates has, card reader and access control that's being coordinated with the city. There are cameras also. There are perimeter cameras. So the rendering that was presented, actually comes out of our design model. And you could see the light poles on the images. And most of those light poles have cameras.
Yeah, see the light poles?
Yeah. You can see them here. So all the perimeter light poles also, in addition to lighting, there are cameras. And there is a guardhouse at the southernmost entrance that will, most of the traffic will come in. The only driveway that does not have an actual gate is the Blue Heron. So it is fenced, but the access control is just beyond the driveway. And you can kind of see it on the site plan, but it's just south of the main office area where the building widens. My team is reminding me to use the pointer. Right here, there is another gate that will provide access control. But the main entrance here from Blue Heron is free flow, and that is to just maintain the flow of traffic off of Blue Heron so we don't have staging in the street.
And will that, the guard gate, will it be manned, excuse me, will that be manned 24 hours a day?
I think that is up to the utility district or the city, how they want to staff that, but it does have a restroom, and it could be manned 24/7 if needed. Yeah. It's also air conditioned.
Okay, thank you.
Yes,
On this,
recognize.
just one quick question so we can move on to later in the evening. Who's going to be monitoring these videos?
We understand that that's done by the police department. The cameras are monitored by, I believe that's correct.
Okay.
So, yeah.
One just asking. Thank you.
All right.
More questions by the board? All right, so can we move for approval for site plan or application SP 240021?
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve this item with any conditions recommended by staff.
Second.
Chair, ready for the vote?
Yes.
It has been properly motioned and second. Mr. Anthony Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Frank Fernandez,
Yes.
Ms. Margaret Shepherd,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bruce Guyton,
Yes.
Chair William Wiley.
Yes.
The vote passes with unanimous vote, Chair.
Workshop items? Oh, first of all, I'm sorry, thank you for your presentation.
So much. Thank you
And-
so much.
Don't forget the landscaping.
Need those trees.
Number 8, workshop items.
None today, Mr. Chair.
9, any public comments?
Yes, Chair, we have one public comment card, and that is Ms. Mary Bram.
I was gonna guess that.
Time's up.
We have a meeting that,
Yes, ma'am.
This man speaks on everything.
Here, Brand Riviera Beach. I was just showing them. See, Stewart has the same type of system that our plant will have as well. The membrane, the osmosis, and all of that. And they had their new facility groundbreaking in June of this year, 2024. So we are not the only city that's having to rebuild and get built up because we're all over the territory. So I just wanted to share that with you as well. Happy holidays to you. I don't know whether we'll meet again, but I hope everybody be safe and have a good one. I made mention about Marion Dozier, and a lot did not get it, so I made mention about it last night. Marion Dozier passed away, and for everybody that knew her, she was gifted and she was talented, and she worked with the city for years. She did various projects. She comes from a very lovable, distinguished, kind, that whole Dozier family. I've known Marion ever since she was little. She was in a lot of the programs and stuff. So it behooves us to be mindful of what can fall. We can fall as victims and we can fall under circumstances too, because we are all human here. But Marion, I would like to say something else to you. And it's good evening to you, Marion. This is God. I will be handling now everything for you. All of your problems today, I will not need you to help. So you just relax and have a great day. Because Ms. Brown and others will always keep you in our hearts, and we will always remember you for who you were, whose you are. We will forever be grateful and kind to you. Another little girl too that has touched Ms. Brown hard too. She had a major accident August of this year. Her name is Janae Johnson. And she just had finished school and she was doing dual enrollment at FIU and Florida State Community College. And she was hit by a bicycle. And that bicycle just tore her up. She stayed in a coma for 2 months. Lost a kidney, bleeding at the brain. And she's having some difficult time here. So my heart goes out to her and to all the firemen. Ms. Bram say thank you for your service. That beautiful mirror, I want it on because they lost a lot of loved ones too. So everybody be safe.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Happy holidays. All right, let's go into general discussion. Are there any staff updates?
None from staff, Mr. Chair.
Correspondence?
None, Chair.
Any statements from the board?
Merry Christmas.
I did, Mr. Chair, wanted to say to Mr. Chief Wester, Richard Wester, who was the first African-American fire chief, passed away. And he was such a great man. He always kept you laughing, always lifted you up. And we're losing giants in the city of Riviera Beach. And we should be very proud that our city people come down and they look at us and they wrote a beautiful, beautiful article, Marion Dozier. She wrote an article for me for Ivy Green, how I facilitated having that property torn down. And I would be forever grateful for her because she was a role model for the women here in Riviera Beach. And with that, I thank you and I hope you all had a happy holiday. And I guess I'll see you next year. Is that it, Mr. Sherman? I'm gonna see you next year.
That is it for the year, yes,
I
ma'am.
love you for that.
We love you too.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Well, one thing I would like to say before we leave, is I would say thank you to this marvelous board I've been a part of for so many years. And one thing I think that's really great right now is being able to see that as driving around Riviera Beach, getting to see some of the things that we have agreed on and some of the things that we put together and some of the projects and everything that is now coming. And one thing my mother said, as not only she was my mother, but also a teacher for 33 years and taught me in the 10th and 11th grade. One thing she would always say was that whatever you're doing now, at the day you got there, you want to leave it better than it was when you leave. And that's one thing that I think that we're doing a great job of. again, with no conflict, just having a good time and bringing positive people and businesses and organizations to this city. Thank you. I move for adjournment.
8:30?
I move.
Merry Christmas.
Christmas. Yeah.